If you do have someone that you work with, that you're in a relationship with, a work bae, work husband, work wife,
Weh.
do you go call them honey at work? Like, how do you navigate? Me, I don't know. I wouldn't be like,
You're
oh,
like the
Mr.
baby.
Mr. Jones. I'd be
Yeah.
like, hey, babe.
Hello, what's good? This is Beldina Kasema, and welcome to the Ages and Stages podcast, KE. With me today, I have my co-host, the fabulous, the one and only
D.
Things
Hi.
D says.
Yes.
And she says the craziest things, let me tell you. And today, D, we are talking about
What are you talking about? Tell me.
hurdles in the workplace, be it politics in the workplace, be it things to do with relationships in the workplace.
Ooh,
Have you ever been attracted?
spicy.
Have you ever been attracted to a coworker? How do you move up the ranks in the workplace?
Yeah.
The different things. What if you don't agree with someone and you dislike someone in the workplace? Just the hurdles that we have on a daily in the workplace. And at Ages and Stages is the place where we tend to talk about things we've learned through the school of life and the combination school of life and
Formal education. Yeah, formal training.
So
Yeah.
that's the knowledge we tend to bring to such conversations and to see if we can really help. So D,
Yeah.
let's talk about the workplace.
Let's.
What is the one hurdle you can remember? And by hurdle, I mean hardship
Yeah.
that you ever had to overcome in the workplace.
Okay, for me, it was mostly racially
Oh,
inclined. Yeah. So I won't say outright racism, but ignorance about my abilities because I'm black.
expand, please.
Yeah. So my entire work experience has been in Australia, right? So a lot of the times, actually, I think every single workplace I was at, I was the only black person.
Oh,
Other than hospitality, yeah, every other workplace I was at, I was the only black person and the first black person people are dealing with.
oh,
Yeah. So there was a lot of, do you know how to, how do you, you can spell, you can write, you can, yeah. So it was a lot of ignorance about my ability. That was the biggest hurdle for me to cross because if people haven't really dealt with your kind before, like you're the first of something in a workplace, then they look at you like, okay. Do you understand jokes? Do you know what I mean? That was for me the biggest hurdle because I was just like, why am I being treated differently than other people? Why do you walk on eggshells when you speak to me? Why am I not included in certain social activities, especially at the beginning? Yeah, that was.
and
the
how do you
biggest
overcome something
hurdle.
like that, man?
For me, I was just like I learned to let my light shine so bright that they had no choice.
Ish.
Yeah.
You learned to let your light
shine so bright that they had no choice. Because at
They
first
had
it used
no
to get me
choice.
down. Because I used to be excluded from things, right? Like I used to find out, these people had this happened on the weekend. No one told me about it.
Oh, yeah.
Or something is happening in the workplace. I'm the last one to find out. And I was like, this is unfair. Why am I being excluded from certain conversations? Then I also realized it's because I had also reserved myself. Like because I was
You
I
read
was-
the energy and
yeah.
it's almost like you respond to
you
this
respond
energy.
to the energy and you respond to this being othered and you start acting like a other.
It becomes
An
self-fulfilling.
other, yeah. So I just started being my full self. Like
Full
laughing
on.
the way that I laugh. I wasn't editing my laugh. I wasn't editing my, the pitch of my voice because my voice carries. And within a very short space time of being myself, people started to gravitate towards me and want
Because
me to be around.
people begin to treat you the way you're treating yourself
Yeah.
in such a
and then
situation.
I also started to participate in conversations because a lot of the time people will talk about things that I can't relate with. Like in Australia, there's Australian rules football. It's called footy. I never used to watch footy by choice. And, so obviously I didn't have a team that I supported. I didn't, so when there's a footy game in the weekend and people are talking about it on a Monday morning, I'd
You
just
have
be
nothing
like,
to say.
well, I didn't watch footy, but I went to a barbecue with my friends, or I went to the beach, or I did this, or I bummed on the couch, like I would just still contribute my own version of my life story. Even if it didn't fit in with them. So that for me, that was the
That's a
biggest hurdle to
fantastic way to do
overcome,
it.
was how do I translate my abilities in an environment where I look different from everybody else.
I agree. And where it's easy for people to underestimate you.
Yeah.
And decide, I like that. In terms of, and now that I think about it, you say that it's racially.
Yeah.
I think it's the same when people don't know you. When you're newly in a place and people don't know you.
What's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome? Because you've only recently started being employed.
Working,
You've
yes.
always been self-employed.
I've always been self-employed.
Yeah.
But then, in terms of a hurdle, in terms of working and everything, back when I was running a business, a lot of it, when you're running a business and you are young. Let me tell you, that's a thing in Kenya. Age is such a big deal, especially when you run a business, because what they tend to think, with age comes maturity, with age comes trust. I once had...
so do you feel like there's age discrimination
Yes,
if you're a
is.
young business owner?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
And it used to help for me a lot of the time if I did my negotiations on phone. So
because people don't
someone cannot
see
see
how
me,
young you are.
and it does help that I have a deep voice. So
Yes.
someone would assume. One time, this guy who was ordering quite a number of products to be able to, and he was working with this big company, and it was their CSR.
Yeah.
And when he met
What's
me,
CSR? I think
CSR
you said
is
this to me before.
I think it's the way a company is able to help. Like
Like is it the social responsibility
Yes, social
thing?
responsibility.
Okay.
Yes. So what happens? He mentions when he met me, he said, "If I knew it was you, I wouldn't have given you this business."
Look at that.
Because when I've dealt with young people, they usually are not responsible. They're not on time. They don't show up. They
Yeah.
don't do things as they're supposed to. So the assumption is that because you're young, you do not have the ability to do so. So that was one major hurdle that I had to deal with. And I had to find ways of maneuvering. I used to sometimes go for negotiations with my mom.
Really?
Yes. And sometimes
And
it's-
wait, they know that she's your mom, or you act like you're employed, like you're working in the same place?
I work
but
that
you're
I,
not related.
I act like I work for her, so that we can close the deal. Because otherwise, if I look the way I look, and you can imagine my baby face doesn't help, but then when I'm looking much younger, they wouldn't give me the contract. So I'd show up with my mom. I kid you not.
Yeah.
And they'd look at her and they'd say yes, and. Shout out to my mom, man. Moms tend to go a long way. Even if they learn your business, they learn how to negotiate, they learn what you need, so that they can really, really help you.
Yeah.
So that was always her and everything. And so some of these things, age discrimination, that has been a hurdle, especially in the Kenyan market. That has been a big one. I still find that even now, sometimes people can tend to underestimate the ability, simply because I look much younger than I should be looking. Yes, so they're like, "Hey, this one, is she a student?"
Yeah.
I was going to.
They don't know. Yeah. And what about in the workplace now that you're employed? What's the biggest
in the
hurdle?
work, one of the major ones is that you find people already have cliques. People already like working with other people. Yeah, people already associate and relate.
Yeah.
Now, in my workplace, there's a lot of men.
Yeah.
It's just the type of work we do and everything. You find more men than women in terms of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So in terms of the workplace, in terms of that, the challenge has been that men tend to hang out with each other. They trust each other much easier. They have like the bro code. So when you're coming in as a chick, it's always an interesting dynamic. One,
like, you're like, oh, who's gonna be my friend? Yeah.
And then it's watching. It's the one thing that I promised myself, and this I promised myself when I was younger, was that I won't come in to segregate a group, because the minute you then you begin to be left out for things, especially and
What do you mean by segregate a group?
When I was younger, I grew up around a lot of boys.
Okay.
And when you grew older, when you got to 16, this is when the feelings begin.
Yeah.
So I ended up dating one of the boys.
Okay.
And now I was not only just Beldina, who's rough and can run around and play with everybody.
Yeah.
I was Beldina girlfriend too.
Yeah.
So because they respected him and they didn't want to look like they were trying to hit on me
Yeah.
or get easy with me or everything. That meant that I was sometimes left out of things that others had been included.
Okay.
So it can happen in the workplace.
Yeah.
It can happen in the workplace a lot because it's easy. Like you're with these people
Yeah.
day in, day out.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be attracted to somebody, love.
Hey, spicy.
Moto.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be attracted to someone. It's very easy to look at someone and be like everything. And
Yeah.
I'll mention this, that it takes chemistry to be able to work with people. A lot of chemistry to be able to work with people. And sometimes this chemistry can go from we relate well, we laugh, to let's take it to a different level.
Yeah.
It takes chemistry to also get into a relationship.
Yeah.
So chemistry is a thing. Even in the workplace, it's a thing to be able to work with someone. People you find you work best with, you have chemistry with. It might not be a romantic relationship or anything, but
you
it's
get on
chemistry.
a certain level.
Yes, you do. But then what happens then is that what happens when you choose to take it to a different level, or when this chemistry you begin to get very jealous when they're talking to somebody else. You're like, why are you smiling at that other girl? I didn't want you to smile.
Yeah.
Why didn't you include me?
Yeah.
You begin to put
Start,
a lot of
you
emotion.
start getting possessive and you're like, this is,
And it's the way I hear people talk about work base and
like
home base.
work husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Slippery slope.
Yeah. It is.
It's teremko
literally.
right there and everything. So the question is always checking the repercussions. You'll find like most Kenyan workplaces and most workplaces is that if you end up hooking up with a person who you're attracted to, or you end up in a serious relationship, then one of you's got to leave.
Because that's, I can imagine you would have to, because you'd have to. I've been in a situation where there was a little...
explain, please. I'm
Je ne
even
sais
turning.
Between me and a colleague. For sure. And it was one of those things where, like whenever, like you said, whenever you go to a workplace, there's some people you'll gravitate towards naturally. Then there's others, maybe it might take some effort, some years, some, shared experiences before you gravitate towards each other. But I've had a situation where I had a colleague where, like, from day one we were like we clicked like this, right?
It's the worst thing.
Yeah, clicked like this from day one. And initially I was just like, we're just cool friends, we're just,
we're chilling.
Yeah, I was like, I was so happy because when for me, when I'm new to a workplace, I'm a bit nervous, especially because, like I said, most workplaces I went to, I was the only black person. So I was just so nervous about, how am I going to be received? How am I going to be, like, am I going to make friends? That kind of thing. Luckily, I make friends easy. So I found that to be true even in Australia. Like, I made friends way easy.
Did you make friends with a stone?
Yeah, I'll make friends with that door.
I like you. You're like, stone talk to me.
Yeah, I almost expect to be friends with everybody. But so then I was nervous because this was a new job. Again, I'm trying to. You also want to prove yourself. You want to be professional. But I'm still like, okay, who am I going to get along with? And straight away, two things were clear. One, I did not like my manager.
Oh.
Two, I really got along with this now person, my other colleague, the one who there was a little thing between us.
Yeah.
So those two things were clear. So that was also a really weird dynamic because my boss, who I didn't like at the time, she wasn't really my boss, but she was my boss because she was senior than me. But like, she wasn't the person that I reported to in terms of my legal career. She was really close with now the guy I was very close with. So I was like, okay, this is a weird dynamic,
She's close. Hold on.
Yeah.
We have a 3-way thing here.
Yeah.
There's a manager.
Yeah.
And there is this person.
Yeah.
Let's call them Mr. X.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's D.
Yeah.
So D's coming in. Same position with Mr. X?
No, I'm his senior.
You're senior. Hey, you're in between them.
Yeah.
So this coming in,
Yeah.
her and Mr. X are like this.
Yeah.
But then also manager over here is also like this.
Yeah.
So,
So they were more like best friends, honestly. So they were like BFFs. Like
Uh-huh.
they literally, you know, those ones who like go on weekend trips together. They go on like, you know, drinking sprees together. Like they were BFFs.
are you sure one didn't like the other one?
I
Or
don't know.
Somehow.
Maybe. I don't know.
Ish.
Maybe they even had a thing at some point. I don't know. But it's not far-fetched, right? It's not. So it was a weird dynamic for me because I knew straight away, just from interacting with her, that I knew the management style that she had, I knew
This was going to be
didn't
trouble.
work for me, and I let her know that. So already we already had some friction because I was just like, there's some things she was doing that I was like, this doesn't work for me, I'm not gonna do this. And she didn't take it well. So there was already that, but so in my head I was like, oh, I hope this doesn't cause friction. I hope this doesn't make, you know, other people not like me, because, you know, the people who really liked her, there's also that clicky thing
That
in Australia
liked
as
her,
well.
yes.
Yeah, like if people like a certain person, then you're kind of expected to like that person. If that
That's
person
true.
is also in a senior position, even more so. But like at this point, I had gotten enough balls to say when I don't like something and just put it out there. And for me, I was like, I respect people who can respect other people's opinions and differences. And because she refused to respect mine, we just had this
was going
friction.
to have friction, yes.
Yeah, we just had this friction where I was just like, but I don't want to be forced to do something that doesn't make sense for me. Don't force me to do something just because you're flexing your power, kind of thing, right? Anyway, so me and Mr. X continued to just work together really well, and we got closer and closer, and he was the kind of person who really showed up for me, even in situations where I didn't even know I needed somebody to show up for me.
Oh, that's
right?
perfect.
He would campaign constantly for fair treatment.
Oh, is he the guy who was like, don't add me money?
Yeah.
If you're not,
Yes.
Please
that's
watch
the
that
one.
episode.
Yeah. So he taught me a lot of things about how a white male can use their privilege to benefit other people.
Oh.
Okay? Because the white man is the most privileged human being on the planet.
He already sounds sexy, love.
Yeah.
Ish. I am already attracted to him and I don't know him.
So,
Mr. X, contact him.
Yeah, so already I was just like, I really appreciate this. But over and above that, he was just a really, really good human being. A really nice human being. So yeah, there was
he
that.
Australian?
Yeah. Yeah. I told you I was the only black person there. So
Blonde hair, blue eyes?
no. Not that cliche. No. So
Rugby player?
no, not a rugby player,
Just
not a footy player, none of that.
For the ones who want to know more.
And at that time, I was just extremely, extremely professional. I work, I'm a lawyer by profession, like so. The professionalism leaks when I'm in the when I'm in the workplace. I'm in the workplace. Like if you ask any of my colleagues, they've never and Australia is a kind of we had a work environment where we had open tabs. Like if you went out for work drinks, it was an open tab. You could take however many shots you wanted. You could that's the culture. No one ever saw me out of turn. And they would get lit and do all kinds of crazy shit.
Like, eh.
But I was like, you will never see me. And I think that's the African in me. But also I just was like, I can't divorce my Africanness from my professionalism.
Sure.
Like I can't be rolling around drunk and look at you in the office the next day. Like, okay, do you know what I mean? I just couldn't do it. I don't know why I couldn't do it. So they always just thought I was so stiff and so rigid and so like anti-fun. They didn't get to know me until I was leaving. And I mean leaving the countries, when they were like, oh, you're actually fun.
So even Mr. X never, it was spicy, but nothing ever happened.
No, you don't shit where you eat. So
fair.
Yeah, and then the other thing you have to remember is I was his senior. So if anything,
you'd be the one harassing.
Happened, it would be me being seen to be harassing or taking advantage of someone who's in a junior position than me. So I always had that in the top of my mind, and I was always like, I'm never gonna cross that line. I'm never gonna cross that line. I'm never gonna cross that line.
So how do you avoid that? You're like, feelings
I
are
mean,
there,
just-
but stay aside.
Yeah.
We go.
I mean, and I think there's a healthy level of flirtation that you can engage in, because at the time, I was single, he was single. There's a healthy level of flirtation you can engage in that's comfortable for you. So we kind of had this kind of like healthy rapport where when it's business, and I was way more serious in that regard. Like I was just like, if it's work, it's work, and we're being very serious about work. But every now and then, he would just make a comment about, oh, I love your hair, or I love this, or I love that, and I would relish in it, because I'm just like, yes, bathe me in compliments. And I liked him as a person, and we talked about, life and things like that, like our dreams, our futures, like someone you actually share with more than what's going on in the workplace, right? And so there was just that level of banter that was going on, but it just never went beyond a certain point, because for me,
it was never going to get there.
Yeah, I just wouldn't. There was no way I could cross that line and continue working with this person.
I've seen.
Yeah. So, have you been in that situation? How would you deal with that situation if you're ever in that situation? Do you think?
I think it's when you work with people day in, day out, attraction will be there. I'm telling you, there's a way you'll find someone, and especially if you're in an environment that is very competitive, you'll find women who are very alpha, like me, like men who are very alpha as well. So if you see a man who's alpha and very keen and taking up leadership, for me, I'm like, yo, Jesus, take the wheel, take me, please. Do not hold me, surround me with your angels, put a barrier.
Take the logbook, take the wheel, take the entire vehicle.
I'm telling you. And if there's a plane ticket, I'm like, yeah. So it is the attraction is always there, because the chemistry is also there. You always find that people who you sit with and you just vibe on a different place. I'll tell you, recognizing that there's chemistry between people is one thing that I had to learn. That just because it's chemistry doesn't mean that you guys have to hook up. Just because there's chemistry doesn't mean that it needs to end up in a relationship or it needs to end up in an interesting place. And half the time, if you give it enough time, it dissipates.
It fizzles. And you have chemistry. I feel like you can have chemistry with a lot of people in your lifetime. A lot. Because like you say, you meet people in the workplace, you meet people here in life, you meet people, in different areas of your life where you're just like, oh, like I told you, we had chemistry from the
first time.
Day one.
Yes, we did.
Do you know what I mean? So you have chemistry with a lot of people in a lot of different facets of life. You don't have to action it, obviously.
Yes.
Like I haven't been in a position where with a colleague I'm like, we have to do something about this. Maybe if I had, I'd have a different opinion, but I always feel like, you can't shit where you eat, number one. Number two, it would have to be a relationship that is going the distance.
Yes.
For me, like I can see this going the distance for me to be like, okay, let's go full throttle, because I can't imagine having a fling with somebody and then having
just
to see
hooking
you
up
every Monday morning.
And then people looking at us sideways.
Not even that, maybe even people don't know, or maybe they don't, I don't know. But for me knowing, and I'm just like, then I have to deal with you every Monday morning.
I'm telling you. And then it's also like, you can imagine if you cross, then you begin to, the possessiveness becomes like a thing. And people will always know something happened because you become way too possessive. And sometimes you don't want to talk.
It gets obvious.
Like, because let me tell you, when you're in love with someone or when you really like someone, there's a little crazy that shows up.
There's the energy starts to show, because you start to giggle when they blink. Even their blinking they blink, you're like, ah!
You're like, you're so funny. You blink so cute. Do it one more time. It's a whole mess. But then, so it's very important to be able to watch that. And it's also, you don't want, like, I always say this, you don't want to be excluded from something because something took root. If you understand, because the relationship took root.
Yeah, like you
then
said
suddenly,
earlier,
like for me with my
yeah.
coworkers, if everyone was to exclude me because
Now,
now I
yeah.
hooked up with
Now you're the girlfriend.
now I'm the
Or
girlfriend,
the
and now
ex.
because now you begin to take different roles
Yeah.
and then the recovery takes so much time.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever recover, ever. So it's really really important to just be able to know. I think measure the risk, weigh the risk, and then decide what will work and what won't work.
Yeah, that's what I would say, because when it comes to workplace relationships, you have to, for me, I would have to know this is going the distance. I would have to, and people will be like, oh, how do you know if you haven't tried? Well, first of all, for me, if I want to try, like truly want to seriously date you, then that would tell me, oh, okay, then this is something I need to look into. But yeah, I have never ever been in that position with a workmate.
And I think that there need to be a conversation. I think it's easy to remove the emotion and all this attraction and all this pizzazz about this other person. If you guys sit down and you're like, dude, I am way attracted to you. And then they're like, yeah, way. Tukiachiliwa hapa. It's going down. Yeah. And then if you're able to talk about it.
So then it's out in the air.
It's out in the air. It's not, oh, we were trying. It's not, oh, she doesn't know. Does she
But
like
then,
me? Does she not like me?
if it's out in the air, and then?
It's out. If it's out in the air, it's out in the air.
Yeah.
Then you guys make decisions. Is this something that
like,
will cost
is it something
you?
we're going to pursue?
Yes.
Or do we
Or is
just
this
park it and enjoy?
And that's the only way to know if you want to pursue this very seriously or not to pursue it at all. Just have an honest conversation. Be like, listen, mimi nikikuona nasikia roho inafanya pup pup. Iko hapo tu, honey.
Your heart is twerking.
Honey.
Yeah.
Iko tu hapo. But then just being able to have that conversation also removes a lot of the pressure and tension.
Yeah.
When it's like when you're afraid of something or when you're denying something, it's like it gains root. That's when it takes life.
Yeah. Because what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
So if you're focusing on, like you always have that feeling around them. But I guess when you talk about it, it releases a lot of that pressure.
It does. And then when you act a little funny, you're able to come back and say, listen, I'm still dealing with the fact that I like you a certain way. And I'm sorry I got so possessive.
That's extremely mature.
I think it takes a different kind of person to be able to say, listen, this is what's happening and everything. But then it could also take a different route. You might say something and the person is like, Kenyewe, let's do this.
Ama you tell them you like them and they're like, I was just
it's
just fun and games.
Because they get weird with you. That's when they get weird.
Mine was just vibes and inshallah, babes.
They go tell other people.
Oh,
you know that Gidi told me she likes me. Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So you gotta watch and be able to measure, of course, the kind of person you're looking at. But it's inevitable. It's there. What about politics? Have you ever had office politics?
Yeah, everywhere. That one is a given. That one is a given.
That anywhere where you're working, there'll always be politics.
Yes, 100%.
And what did politics look like? Like, how does someone know that there's office politics in a place?
How did I know those office politics? Well, I think for me, the first things I notice is, like, because I'm very keen on energies, right? Even before someone speaks, the way that they carry themselves in certain situations. So I would read energies and see, okay, when this person comes in the room, the energy shifts in this way. Or people start whispering. Or people start to leave one by one. Or people gravitate towards them. Just energy will tell me, okay, watch out, or pay attention here, or look, So I think the first thing I would notice is clicky behavior. So when more than one person is reacting a certain way to another person. And usually it would be like either a change in attitude when they walk in the room, childishness, like when they walk in the room. Those kinds of things are the ones I'd be like, oh, okay, there's issues here. Thankfully, I never got involved in any of them because I was the type of person who I did more observing than speaking. Way more observing than speaking. One, again, because I was always the other person. Always. So people, for the most part, didn't even know how to deal with me. They didn't know, can we make the same jokes? Can we swear? Can we curse? Can we can we talk about deep things? It took a while for people to learn me. So for that reason, I also took my time to learn people. So by the time I was forming my tribe in a workplace, it's because I've observed and observed and observed, and I'm like, okay,
This person
you we
makes
can get
sense.
along with.
You, hell no.
Yeah, you, I don't know, maybe just at work, but outside of the workplace, I don't see it. But yeah, like you always knew it, just from observing people what was going on. So in the Kenyan context, I would assume politics are,
Hey, this politics, let me tell
the
you.
order of the day kind of thing. But
In terms of, and by politics, I mean people being people, and it's always as if you're watching. And I had one rule actually, and I used to have it a lot with business, where I would say when you're talking to the people who are junior to you, don't go complaining to the people who are junior to you. If you have complaints, complain upward. If you have good things to say good things down.
Why?
So what would happen is that a lot of the culture that you build within a business, if the manager is the one who's talking shit down like this, then you will never be able to work with that culture. No one will ever work. The culture will always be
you
really
absorb
wrong.
that, yeah.
Yes. So as a manager, if you have someone above you, you talk all the wrong things up. You say, because this is the person who can solve them. Why would you talk all the nasty things and all the things that are not working down?
To people who can't.
Yes.
Okay. That
Talk
makes sense.
upwards.
Yeah.
And then so that they also feel safe. It's like when you have kids. You have a kid. There's safety in knowing if your parents all the time came and told you hatujalipa stima, hatujalipa maji, tunafungiwa nyumba, what would happen? It destroys your sense of safety completely. And if you're not feeling safe, then the environment to flourish is not really working really well. But if they went to the bank and they're able to talk like that and get some money, then they're able to solve it. The bank being the applet than them. So the same way, and it would give you room for you when you have trouble, they look like they're the ones who can solve it. So we always had a rule that if you're a person who has a team, down you talk the good things, up is where you go with your complaints and any issues and anything that is not working for you. And what that would do is that it would always protect. Now, I also learned a second thing is that regardless of whatever people say, because let me tell you, people will tell you about someone, they'll go tell the other person about you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So be careful.
Ooh,
like for me, I always watch, like even if you dislike your manager to the core, that is not where you go to. You don't tell people anakuanga na macho moja kubwa kuliko ingine.
Avoid office gossip.
Avoid
until or unless
and people who act friendly with this office gossip, they're coming to tell you so that they hear your opinion, so that they take your opinion to go tell somebody else.
It's just so tricky. It
is messy. It's messy.
Tricky. I would say until you've left that workplace,
avoid it.
Just stay out of it, because you don't want to be involved in the mess. You don't want to be in the midst of the drama.
And I used to find like some ladies I used to work with at some point, they're like they'd come find out information from me so they can go tell. So me, I'd avoid giving any kind of information. Just smile. They're like, what do you think of this person? The person who's talking worst about that manager is the one who goes to feed them information. Because for them, by talking the worst, they cover themselves, but then they want to hear what you think. So me, I'd be like, oh no, we're chilling, he's okay. I don't think he's that way, but if I have a problem with him, I'll just talk to him directly. But then do not, let me tell you, I'll tell you for free, don't go be discussing people who determine how much you earn or the hand that pays you with other people.
Don't bite the hand that
you
feeds you.
lenga that story.
Don't do it.
Even if you hate it, even if you have a problem, find a different way. I'd rather
tell the person directly, because if they're hearing it from somebody else by a broken telephone, the message will be way worse.
And to be different,
it will be different than what you intended. It's just messy.
And then you just come out, like, especially with people who talk like that. You find they talk about this one to this one, this one to this one, this one to... It's always so messy. It's such a messy environment. So when you stay out of it, they might dislike you, but they'll respect the fact that ideally, that's not like you to talk nonsense in front of people.
Do you think you would date or marry someone you work with?
It depends. And mine, it depends on if I really feel this is the person for me.
Like, you work in the same office. Maybe they don't even have to resign. you work
I don't.
together.
I don't think we could work in the same place.
Yeah.
If we decided we could start off working in the same
Yeah.
place, and then possibly one of us
Yeah,
has
you
got
just-
to
yeah.
move, but then we couldn't work in the same place. Me, I'd kill people, man. Me and my
Yeah.
boy, first of all,
Yeah.
I'm short, and then I have a mouth on me. It's too much trouble.
Yeah.
I will bit.
Yeah.
There'll be girls talking to him. I'm like, excuse you.
Excuse you?
Can you take a walk? Get to matching. Walk that way.
Yeah.
Don't look back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's important. For me, it's very important that people work in a different place.
Yeah.
To give each other a lot of independence.
Yeah, no, I
that
feel
way.
the same way. I wouldn't want to work at the same
Plus,
workplace with my
it's good to have
husband.
stories and everything
Yeah, we need to
that
have
are
different
separate.
experiences. Can't have just the same workplace, the same address.
And then what happens if they say the person who's hired under you is a little good looking and says, oh, you both work in the same. What if he comes and tells you, Sitaki, I don't want this one.
Yeah.
And says, oh.
Yeah, no, it can get tricky.
Like it can. Some things get very interesting. Or someone has to defend you because he always has to pick your side. And maybe you are the one in the wrong.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think
What
about
happens?
that. Oh, yeah.
Because me, if I'm in a relationship, when you're fighting with other people, me, I'm always right. You can come correct me in the house.
Yeah.
But in front of
in
people,
public,
I'm
you
having
can't.
your back. You're
Yeah,
having my back.
yeah.
So what happens if that situation happens?
Yeah,
And
okay,
you're in the
that's
workplace?
tricky in
Me,
the
I'm
workplace.
like, it's too much.
That's too much.
Me need some space. But if I really felt that like someone is my person, I think I'm at the age where I'd be like, you guy, it's fine. Can we figure this out? And me, I'm the kind that will talk to you and be like, you guy, I keep feeling I could feel.
Really?
Imagine me,
Catch me dead.
I talk to you, especially if I know you like me back.
Really?
I'll tell you.
Especially if I know you like me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd rather escape to another planet
Sasa,
before
what do
I
you do
tell
when you're
you.
working together?
No, I can't tell
Kwanza
you.
when you're avoiding
I
those
will-
feelings,
I'll
that's
act
when you're seated
deaf,
in your
dumb.
room. That's how you.
I will
seated.
act deaf, dumb, and blind. No.
That's how you seated in a room and your heart is doing this. Boom, boom.
Yeah, it will do it in there.
Inside.
Yeah.
Man. You're so funny. Do you want
I can't. No, I actually can't. I can't.
I mean-
I'll go to the grave with that information.
And here's the funniest thing. In the workplace, because I need for things to work, I'll be like, I'll be able to mention it. But then if I
okay.
was in a,
You
say
can't
in a
hold
pub,
it,
in a
yeah.
club, in a udini, or in a different kind of setting,
Yeah.
I could never tell you. Even me, I'm like,
Okay.
my pride
Yeah.
will not let me.
Okay.
It's like,
I know, I can't say.
But this other one,
Yeah.
especially if I know kuna vile unanilike
Yeah.
na kulike, tutaiongea tu ndio initoke.
Yeah.
Because itaniua.
No,
I'll be
me,
there.
no. I will keep
Overflowing.
it. No, in fact, this one with my colleague, the one I was telling you about, it's because he told me. He
Oh, he
eventually
said
told.
it?
Yeah. It's because he eventually
What
told
did
me.
he say?
He
Wait.
said-
Before you left the workplace.
No,
Before
this
you-
was after I had left. This is after I had resigned and everything. Now
What
it
did he
was-
say?
Yeah.
I had the
And-
biggest crush on you.
Yeah, and I'm like, I know.
You said I know.
Yeah,
You're
because I
terrible.
knew. But I
You
knew.
should-
It was
did you
obvious.
say I had the same crush on
Yeah, I
you?
did. I told him. Yeah, even me, I felt something. I told him. Yeah, I felt
Like
something.
the
as well.
Kenyans, we
But
play
I
it
could have
down.
never been the first one to start that conversation. Could never be me. Never.
I'm just like, but then sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
it depends. Yes,
Yeah.
it just
I don't
sometimes
know.
mimi
I
nataka
have-
kitu initoke
I need
so
to be
that
freed
I
from those shackles of expressing myself like that.
I need when I need things to work. I need to. Ndakwambia tu ndio nitoke mimi niishi hapo.
Yeah.
But then when hizo times zingine hata weka.
Yeah.
But it's a whole mess.
Yeah.
But anyway, hurdles in the
Workplace.
workplace. There are too many. But then tell us about the hurdles you faced.
Especially in the Kenyan workplace.
We want to know what you're feeling, what you're seeing,
Yeah.
what you're experiencing,
Yeah.
and how you've handled it, if you've managed to handle it,
Yeah.
how you're handling it if you're in between,
Yeah.
or have you gotten married? From
To your work. Yeah, I've
to your
seen
work,
colleagues who are
yes.
married.
And how did that work?
Yeah, so if you do have someone that you work with, that you're in a relationship with, a work bae, work husband, work wife,
Weh.
do you go call them honey at work? Like, how do you navigate? Me, I don't know. I wouldn't be like, oh,
You're like the
Mr.
baby.
Mr. Jones. I'd
Yeah.
be like, hey, babe, pass me a
So-
ruler. Pass me the stapler.
Why are you smiling like that to her? Let us
So
know.
I don't know how I would navigate it. If you're in that situation or you've been in that situation, please andika kwa comments. Please let us know. On Spotify, you can leave us a voice note. So please leave us a voice note. I think you can do that as well on Castbox. Yeah.
Really?
So leave us a voice note. Let us know what's your work situation like with your bae. With your, are you attracted to someone at work? Have you flirted in those dangerous waters? Has it come to bite you? Let us know.
And if you face any other hurdle, let us know. If we've not mentioned it here, please tap it up. We would like to know what hurdles you're facing, how you're working through them, what you're doing to be able to make sure that you're just successful in this kind of area completely. And it's been us, the Ages and Stages podcast, and I am the one, the only Veldina Kasema, and this is
D.
Things D says.
Yeah, Things D says on the socials.
And that's been us.
Yeah.
Goodbye. See you next week.
See you later.